I'm Clifford Bresee, and I am 50%, maybe less than that, of the directing team of my wife Stacy and I, directing Once on This Island at Maskers Theater, coming this fall.
Great. Tell us what attracted you to this project, and why did you want to direct Once on This Island at Maskers?
Oh, so that's a little bit of a longer story. I think one of the most interesting things is I've never seen this show. Probably most directors who have directed a show have direct shows they've actually seen. Never seen it. What happened is I was looking at shows coming for the 2019-2020 season for the Best of Broadway at Spokane, which included things like Jersey Boys and, I don't know, this show called Hamilton. And I saw this show called Once on This Island. I was immediately intrigued by the artwork, and so I checked into it a little bit further, discovered the story was set in the island nation of Haiti, which I've been to several times and have great affection for. And the story was loosely based on Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid, a show which my wife and I have directed before, but much closer to Christian Andersen's version of the story. Started loving what I was seeing in costumes and sets. They were gorgeous. Started listening to the soundtrack. The Caribbean flavored music was great. I really wanted to go see the show, except that it opened in mid-March 2020 and literally got shut down at the beginning of COVID. Unlike Hamilton, the tour never returned. So I've never seen this show. Flip the calendar forward a few years to winter of 2022, and I'm looking at for my high school drama class for a show to do. And honestly, Once on This Island is not on my radar. It's just I'm thinking of things that are more well known and things that adapt better to the high school stage. But I keep coming back around to it. And I decide to go with it. And I'm uncertain if the high school cast will bite into this, if the community would be interested in seeing it. It's unknown, it's deep, it's different. And immediately, I mean, from the moment I began playing the first songs and started reading the book, people just fell in love with it. And the whole cast, crew, everybody interacted with the show, just had that experience. At the same time, my wife Stacy, she's slated to direct the 2022 fall musical here at Maskers. We were in fact slated to do the 20 show that got canceled by COVID, and the show we had thought about doing at that time we'd since moved on from. And she'd been helping me with my production with some sets and some ideas. We're playing the soundtrack all the time. We're all talking about the story all the time, which is what directors do. And she fell in love with it from afar. And so when we came to the end of that, one of the realizations we had is I had done the Broadway junior version at our school, which didn't include all the music, doesn't include all the book. And we felt like there was still a story to tell. And a story that we already loved. A story to tell in a community theater setting with an adult cast, and we wanted to tell this story.
So how do you think this production will be different from other productions people might have seen?
Well, if we're talking about other productions of Once on This Island, I think what'll be interesting is most people won't have seen it. Unless they've gone and seen it on Broadway, or unless they happen to have seen it in the short time it was on tour in another city before COVID canceled the tour, or seen a rare community production of it. Most people probably have never seen this show. So how it will differ, how it will differ from the Broadway production is important, because in the Broadway production, the way in which the show was cast was to reflect the realities of the island nation of Haiti. So virtually the entire cast is people of color. And there was a little bit of an emphasis in the script of this colorism, which is a subset of racism. Conversation we don't have time to go into, but it's a reality in places like Haiti, where the darker-skinned peasants and the lighter-skinned mixed race wealthy landowners. But the real story is really about class, and color finds its way into the story. So when the show was being licensed for community theater youth, the authors wisely altered the script just a bit to remove any, making color a necessary component of the storytelling. so that in any community of any demographic makeup, you could still tell this story of class, the story of Ti-Moon, the story of love and death, with any cast in a way that keeps the story timeless. So that's probably the difference here. I'm really looking forward to casting a very ethnically diverse, multi-ethnic, multi-generational cast to tell this timeless story. And let me say, as far as how it compares, because it's worth mentioning, how it might compare to other community theater productions, whether here at Masters or around the area. I think I want to bring that up only because I'm not sure there is a basis of comparison. It sounds self-serving, but in my experience, this is a story and a script unlike any other I've come across. And so it really is its own unique thing.
So for those who may be unfamiliar with the show, what is Once on This Island all about?
Well, let me steal straight from the story. Early on in the story, some of the dialogue there goes like this. Our story begins on the night of a flood. Many huts washed away. Many peasants drowned by Ogway's angry waters. But one small girl was spared. An orphan plucked from the waters by Ogway. Sheltered in a tree by Asaka. And sent on a journey by the gods. A journey that would test the strength of love against the power of death. On this island of two different worlds, the story of Ti-Moon. So, Once on This Island is the story of a young orphan girl named Ti-Moon, whose life is spared by the gods in a storm. And she believes that her life has been spared for a special purpose, and she's trying to discover what that purpose is. And she dreams of life on the other side of the island, where the wealthy drive around in cars, and they have resort hotels, and fine clothes, and seem to not have a care in the world. The type of place, the type of life that could take her to the places she wants to go. I decide to intervene and decide to send her on a journey to settle a debate about which is more powerful, love or death. And so, they send a circumstance into Ti-Moon's life where she rescues the life of a young, wealthy man by the name of Daniel, who's in a nearly fatal car crash. And she tries nursing him back to health, and she falls in love with him. And as he's on the edge of death, she makes a deal with the gods to spare his life. But before he regains consciousness, Daniel is swept up by his people and taken back to his side of the island. And so Ti-Moon decides that she and Daniel are destined, that they're going to be married, and she sets off on a journey to the other side of the island to find Daniel, to introduce herself to him. They'll fall in love, and they'll be married. So her whole journey, the interaction with the gods, the clash of classes, and the clash of traditions and cultures become the story. And I will say, without spoiling too much, it does not end the way most stories end. It doesn't end with a wedding on the beach. But it does end with an incredible amount of beauty and meaning. So that's the story.
So, Clifford, tell us a little bit more about the characters and age ranges that you're looking for specifically.
Well, the principles in this story, there are like 12, 13 principles. So it'll take a while to talk about all those. And what I'd say is we're going to have a description of those characters on our website, so check it out there. Age range of principles, it's all genders, a lot of ethnic diversity really casting a role. The age range for the majority of the principals is between ages 15 and 60, I would say. So pretty broad range for characters within the principals. We do have a couple of roles for a little girl that would be in the age range of 10 to 14 years old, just a couple of roles there. And then as far as ensemble, it's the same thing. I would say 15 to 60. And not that you can't be older, I would say it'd be hard to be younger and be in this cast for the ensemble. So a lot of diversity.
So why should someone come audition for the show?
Well, I think one of the challenges, just speaking as someone who's a community theater actor, let's be honest, When a theater announces a title that you're familiar with and that you're interested in, you're like, I need to go audition for that. When there are titles that you're not familiar with, and maybe you're not as familiar with the directors or anything like that, you have to be convinced to come and audition. And I just want to convince you. I'm going to ask you to trust me on this. Most people are not going to be familiar with this show, and that's going to be the challenge, I think, for most people to get interested. But I will tell you, in my short experience, literally everybody, from cast to crew to audience, who has allowed this show to enter in, has loved it, has fallen deeply in love with it. They've actually found it to be incredibly meaningful and transformative. And that's pretty high praise and pretty big talk, but that's the way this story is, and why Stacy and I wanted to continue to tell this story. And so, as one of the directors, I'm saying check into it and be a part of the show. I will tell you that the music is incredible. I've had this music on rotation since I found it. It's probably one of my top 3 musical soundtracks in my rotation. It's right up there with Les Mis and Hamilton, which share a lot in common because they're all 3 completely sung through musicals that have great use of motif, are able to explore a great range of storytelling and emotion without leaving their musical genres. And so I could go on and on and on about that. The music is incredible. Lots of great characters with incredible complexity and diversity. So as an actor, if you're looking for something to bite into. And then the ensemble on this show, as much as any show I've ever seen, this show rises and falls with the strength of its ensemble. They have the majority of the music, the majority of the choreography. There's lots of great character acting that has to go on in the ensemble. And so this means for the entire cast, there's a rich, meaningful experience across the entire spectrum of this cast to be a part of. My promise to you is if you have the fortune of being cast in this show, it'll be an experience you'll remember for years. It'll probably change you in some ways. So you should check it out. So audition dates are August 14th and 15th, Sunday, August 14th at 2 p.m., Monday, August 15th at 6 p.m., both here at Maskers Theater. If you cannot be here for in-person auditions, which we encourage because it's good to see you face-to-face, but it's middle of summer. If you can't be here, we are accepting video auditions. All that information is on our website at maskers.com. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at publicity@maskers.com.